Okay, we're recording now. So, brother, let me start. I'm gonna start with my upbringing. I basically belong to a city called Karachi in Pakistan, and it's apparently the biggest city. It's a coastal city, and this city has a lot of population. It has a lot of belief systems. A lot of different sort of people live here. Most of the high end businesses are all part of this city, and I think you can see on the screen. Yeah, this is it. It's
Yeah,
called Karachi. You see these buildings. This building is like the founders something, and this is like a library. So we have a lot of old world Tartarian sort of buildings. Nobody has any idea that how, like, we have historical accounts of how they were built, but we don't have a pure idea of like what actually had happened. But anyways, I was born in like a Sunni family, and I wasn't such a practicing person. We were like, when we were growing up, we were into music and playing video games and doing all kind of foolish stuff. And
right.
when I was growing up, and I came across a lot of things. And when I came to, I've been in London for 12 years. So when I came here, then I got encountered with a lot of modern aspects of what you can call a Dajjal system, because that's what we were told. Dajjal is coming, Dajjal is coming. And by the end of last year, December, I decided that I just want to quit all of this religion and whatever, because it's not making any sense. My life is just like almost destroyed. I'm full of depression. I'm don't have any will to live as well. And then I just somehow came across the Quran alone community. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me with this, and I'm very thankful for that. And what I've seen in Pakistan is that in Pakistan, the Sunni tradition is like takes over Pakistan religiously, and we have a lot of different sects in the Sunnis as well, and we've got Shias, and they all are like, just all the time blaming each other. Oh, you're kafir, you're mushrik, you did this, you did that. And
But
in my understanding, sorry,
there's a lot of there's a lot of Quran alone people who are closeted there. I noticed like a ton
in
because
Pakistan.
I've met a lot on like Discord and Telegram who are from Pakistan and they're like closeted Quran alone. So there's
Yeah,
actually potential.
you're right. They are closeted. Why? Because they don't have a mode of expression. And another thing that I've noticed while being on YouTube for like a year, a lot of the Pakistani people, when they escape from their religious bounds and they get to foreign countries, they become atheists, and they start questioning the Sunni narrative, the translations, because they don't make any sense, to be honest. And they start they become atheists, and they start targeting uh, like Islam and Quran and Allah and all of that, and they start making fun out of the the weirded out translations and narratives we have of the Sunnis, the Shias. A lot of the things are very absurd. So they start attacking them, and they're literally making a lot of fun. And all is a fault of all these stupid narrations and whatever that's like built up this whole system. And
It's availability fallacy. So they're just like they're judging by what is available, and it's like, but that's kind of my point today is like we need that exposure, so it is exposed
okay,
to that.
let me know about like how was your upbringing and everything. I'm gonna go on mute.
No, I would like to know if you have any more, like, because you did tell me some um other things that really push you to make these like this channel. You know what I mean? So what pushed you to make this channel?
What actually pushed me to make this channel was that I wanted people to like realize, and because look, I come from Pakistan. Pakistan is a community where it's literally destroyed since the time it came into existence, since 1949. It's been taken over by different people. Everybody comes, does their thing, take their money, they just run away, and people are just going in circles. And it's really, and the crime and the things that happen to kids, it's just rubbish. I just want to finish that. I just want to try my best to finish that. That's why I made this channel, so I can start showing people that where the faults lie, so they have to identify those and take a step and get out of the programming that's been given to them from day one. There's a lot of factors why, because why these programmings have made people be in this such way. It's because they don't have much exposure, they don't have a way to cut off. Pakistan is a community where everybody lives in a joint family system, so there's like 5, 6, 10 whatever people living in a house. Everybody is, it's like a gang. So the elder of the house is like the gang leader. Whatever that elder wants, that is going to happen if anybody has to survive in that setting.
It's
So
similar to what I come from, where I come from. Yeah.
now, please, you go share your story.
So my parents actually derived from Iraq, Baghdad, and I was not born there. I was born in UAE, and a few months after I was born, I went to what's it called, US, right? But because I was born in Baghdad, now the thing about Baghdad is like it's kind of the center point between the Sunnis and the Shias of Iraq. So it's a very mixed place. It has like some Christians as well. So Baghdad has always been a mixed place. But there's also Karbala and Najaf, which are like insanely Shia, because they believe that's where Imam Ali and the rest of his like family, Abbas, Hussein, all of them, all of them were there, right?
Yeah.
And even what's it called? The biggest graveyard, like they're very like addicted to that place where it's like if someone passes away in the US or like UK, they will go to the biggest graveyard, which is called Wadi Al Salam, I think. And it's the biggest graveyard on earth. And it's like, a lot of people will take their Shia, like, elderly who passed away to that place. And what will happen is like, the thing about that place though is that it's like, even in my family, a lot of people who pass away, they end up going there. But for
Mhm.
me, I don't want to go there because they have a lot of idolatry near all the graves, you know, because they have Shia propaganda.
So if like you become famous or something, you will be worshipped after you die. Is that what you're saying?
No, no, no. I'm saying a lot of my family, because we come from Shia background,
Yeah.
when they die, they go to that graveyard, and I'm saying that there's idolatry there because they show a lot of blessings and like
Hmm.
have a lot of stuff like posters with Ali on it and like them saying stuff and like it has like Shia taint all over the
Yeah.
graveyard. So it's not somewhere I would ideally. I don't care where that's it's a weird topic, but like what I'm saying is the whole area is tainted by Shiism, especially in the north and south. I mean not the north, central and south, and a lot of them are actually becoming secular. Like they don't know anything about the Quran, and it's like it's funny because I'll see videos where Shias are saying, like Shia sheikhs, respected sheikhs. Like I'll see my family posting videos of those sheikhs, but those same sheikhs I spotted on other videos literally saying, when you do sujood, say 510 times.
Hmm.
It's it's Yasser Al Habib. That's his name. That sheikh. You
You're
can
saying
type
take
it.
his name in sujud.
No, 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 no. I'm saying Yasser Al Habib. He says this. He says when you do
Yeah.
sujood, like
Yeah.
like prostration,
Yeah.
say 510 times, "Oh Fatima, please help me." I'm
Oh
not even
God.
joking.
So
This is a real thing. Like they're shirking for that. Like they supposedly the daughter of Muhammad.
So you actually
I'm not.
reminded me something very interesting.
I'm not like I don't know if these people are real or not, but regardless, they're obviously hadithing these people because they're saying stuff that is shirk and goes against the Quran. So
Hmm.
I
Okay,
don't know if that's
I
a real.
I I have something to ask you because I just did a little research 3 4 days ago, and the thing is called, you know, when you say Fatima tul Zahra, yeah,
Mhm.
Al Zahra. Now this, when you look at this word, right, Zahra, yeah, okay, here people, Zahra, name, female, given name and surname, also spelled Zahra, Zohra, and other variants. Zohra, okay. Now in Persian, these are all the people that got this name. Zohra, I've heard, is the name for Venus as well. And there's a very strange kind of a story that I found uh, in one of these, what do you call them? You know, Tafsir al Tabari.
No, I'd heard
Tafsir
of it.
Tafsir al Tabari. Yeah, Tafsir al Tabari, Surah al Baqarah, verse 102. And you know the verse about Babul Harut and Marut, yeah? Now
Two
in
one
that
two one
verse,
oh
sorry?
2102, right?
Yeah, yeah. In that verse, like
Mm.
in the tafsir, there's a
Right.
story about this woman. Now, basically, the story is about Harut and Marut, like some strange kind of stories. Like Harut and Marut were like two angels sent in human form with human temptations. And then
Mm.
there was a woman called Zahra or something, and she came to them and she was like trying to tempt them, right? And they said no, we are not interested in all of that. Then she said, okay, fine, you do murder. And they said, no, no, we don't want to, we're not going to do any murder or anything. But then she said, okay, fine, you drink alcohol. And they had alcohol, and then they had like sexual intercourse with that lady, as well as drank, killed someone as well. And as a punishment, that woman, some strange story, I have to look at it again. The woman was turned into a star or something as a punishment, and the angels was given punishment. Obviously all of this is some mumbo jumbo, but
Thief. Yeah.
now the thing is, the word Zahra is a word, let me look for it.
What's the
uh,
meaning?
Zahra, Venus. Zahra
But
meaning
the
Venus.
popular
Yes,
name,
yes,
popular.
look, variation Zahra, Zahra, Zohar. Okay, the word Zohar, the word Zohar is here as well. Zohar, you know Zohar,
Yeah.
the namaz time. In the
Mhm.
translated as the planet Venus, Zohra carries a mystique that dates back centuries. In Arabic astrology and celestial observation, Venus was associated with feminine beauty, love, and fertility. So the Shias have this, even the Sunnis, they have this word Al Zohra, Fatmatul Zohra. Some strange thing this is. It's again connecting to some kind of a star worship, you know.
Yeah, like the how it's mentioned. I, I'll get back to the Shiism thing when we get to chapter 2 of the podcast, the
Sure,
passages
sure.
of one another. But for now, I want to talk. Actually, the Shia thing is not the main reason I picked my channel, but I do feel like I do have some kind of burden, not burden, I would say, but some responsibilities against that because that is my upbringing, and a lot of the main Quran alone people are either come from Christian backgrounds or Sunni backgrounds, and it's kind of I'm in a unique position because of that, and I've always witnessed a very grieving side of Islam, like even worse than Sunnism. Sunnism still has it, and I do want to get into that in a bit. But um, I was never really crazy Shia. I went to like some mosque and stuff, but I used to. I'm not even joking. I used to think Jesus was not part of Islam, like Isa. I don't like the term Jesus. Because it does have how does Isa go to Jesus? You know what I'm talking about? But I didn't think what people know as Jesus, Isa. I didn't think he was even a part of Islam when I was a kid. I used to think because all I would hear in the mosque is Muhammad Ali Hussein, Muhammad Ali Hussein, and
Yeah, that's what it breaks down to in Shiism.
even like I would just hear like, oh, Abbas went to this castle and then came, and then Fatima said that. Like, they would just say that in the Shia mosque. Like, I would not hear Quran. I didn't even know about like Solomon. I didn't even like none of this stuff was all unheard of. I was like, oh yeah, Jesus, that's Christian stuff, right? That has nothing to do with Islam. Like, I'm not. This is when I was a kid. I'm not even joking, because they would never talk about the Quran, and I would think the Quran is talking about Ali. So it I was just agnostic for a few years after that. I think there was like some family problems, so I was mainly with my mother and stuff, and um what's it called? I still like ended up contacting the family more, but I wasn't as physically close with my Shia like family. My mom was from Shia background, but I'll tell you about my mother in a second. I wasn't that physically close with the Shia family because I lived in a city that's far away from them. First off, I live in a state that's not even from their state, so I didn't have that exposure with them. And what's it called? Like the Shia family, basically, like if I was around them, they would force me to, like, not force me, but like in a way force me by like saying, "Come to this event, we're all going. Like, come to this mosque, we're having this." So my mom was not really that like, you know, always going to the mosque. She would pray, but she just wouldn't go to the mosque that much. And I mean, it was like the main Shia mosque are like 40 minutes away anyway. So like she's not someone who, but she's kind of she's like she started off when I came to this journey. She was like Shia centric, not no, Quran centric, but like with Shia like attributes, and then she's slowly coming more to Quran alone. And my father has passed away before I even got into the Quran. Well, actually, when I got into the Quran, he passed away 6 months later. But before I got into Quran alone, he was already passed away.
Okay, sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, that was when he passed away. It was actually in Christmas, and I believe so. His anniversary hit like recently, so it was like 2020, I believe. So 2020 or 2021, I think 2021. But I've always, as a kid, I always had social anxiety and like addictions and bad things, and like it was like traumatizing history, right? And it would cause me to have a lot of pain. I had to undergo a lot of trials, and I like literally healed from the unthinkable, like of something. But that's a topic for another day. But it's also something that I did heal like before even coming like closer to Allah. But I healed. But it was because I innately knew about my soul. Like, I knew what my soul was going. Like, I trusted my soul, and I forgot what my brain said because my brain was corrupt. But I ended up healing, and 6 months before my dad passed away, I think in that time I was getting into a lot of truther topics. So I was looking into like the elites and stuff, and how the elites, like how they control or run the world, and the elites are a small minority. So this is kind of what I want to talk about later, like because we're also a minority. So
Okay,
that's
tell me. Okay, tell me something like, if we are a minority, how do you class us like in all of these classes? What do you think we are?
I'll get to that in a bit. but because there's verses for that. But I'll just say, and it's verses that's not to something to be debated, but it's actually stuff in the community that people not really they don't talk about much actually, which is actually a shame. And I think even though I'm called Quran alone as truth, people might get the idea of as I make videos anti-hadith, Quran alone is the truth. Like, but actually, is for me, Quran alone is truth.
Hmm.
It's it's a truth because not just because hadith is false, but because with this book alone, judging by this book, you can reach the best version of yourself. So that's
Exactly.
kind of what I want to. That's kind of what I want to like promote. I want to promote how do you reach the best self improvement just with the Quran alone. So I want to actually be a self improvement channel. I will still make like anti hadith stuff, but I'm saying like I want to focus more on the spiritual aspect because I do feel there's a lot of people who are debunking stuff already good, and I just want to be unique. I don't want to just be the same, reaction video. Oh, today we're going to talk about Sheikh Hasim, and he said this. Today we're going to talk about Yasser Qadi. Today we're going to talk about, you get my point. I don't want to just
So,
keep.
so what kind of topics do you think do you want to show the world?
Um, some educational topics. Recently, I posted like three educational topics. No apostate killing, uh, spoils of war, a sujood video. But here's the thing:
Hmm.
I did that because I was in a very rough time,
Yeah.
and I was in a very rough time, and it was like what for like 4 months because I experienced a lot of um grief and confusion about like some certain things. And this is something that not just I went through, but the prophets went through. So if you look at chapter 12, verse 185,
Chapter
yeah,
12, verse
12, verse 185.
185. Yeah. 185, you said.
Yeah, yeah. In the meantime, I was just gonna say like, I am want to focus on educational vids.
There is no
Uh,
185 in chapter
hold
12.
up, 85. My bad, 85.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Scroll down. Okay, yeah, that's it. They said, "By Allah, you will not cease remembering Joseph until you become fatally ill or become of those who perish." So I knew just some things. Basically, I don't want to get into it. It's kind of esoteric. But if you look into the context of this whole surah, Joseph, I mean, yeah, Joseph gets some signs of his future, and his future is very powerful. You know, he's gonna become a leader. That's how they interpret it.
Hmm.
But Yaqub, he knew about that, but because Joseph was lost, it was contradictory. So it was a really big test of faith for Yaqub, and that made him end up, what's it called, pondering a lot, and he started getting like, I'm just gonna say it, like OCD about the whole topic, and then like even his sons were warning him like you're gonna become fatally ill because of this. So I actually ended up getting fatally ill, not just mentally, but it started physically, right? And it started projecting onto other just worldly things, like not just worldly, but like religion, food, money, and I started overthinking about everything because of this. Not just this moment that was confusing, but a lot of traumatizing things happened to me in the same time. So betrayal. I like got into some problems with my car, which didn't allow me to work, and just a lot of like things that were unfortunate. So it kept me in that house, and it made me like overthink about things. So I just had to have all that pain and stuff, and um it later just that OCD projected onto like worse things that cause a lot of distress and things that are not good at all. So I just had to deal with that, and I had to deal with that for like 5 6 months. And then December was the month of healing, which is a very common month for a lot of people. Who,
What do you mean by a month of healing?
because December, I don't know why, but through my experiences in life with like just not just me but other people, and just like, it's always winter has been a month of healing. Not just like December, but January. So every time I go through some trouble in life, a weird, I always like, then I start healing specifically on like winter time. I don't know why. It's just a repeating pattern that has happened with me. I don't like it's, but it's interesting because you see the trees and they're like the leaves they fall down, and then when they fall down, now the tree's ready to regrow. So now it's the time for the trees to get reborn. Not from. And I think that was always like a beautiful thing. Like when I made that connection. So you just let go of like the past, and that's another thing I want to talk about today. There's a big disease of people defining their fate by their past. So
Mhm. What do you mean by
um,
that? Expand on that.
oh man, I'm gonna have to leave that. I'm definitely gonna talk to about. I'm not gonna forget that. That's a very big thing. That's a very big thing. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna expand on that for sure.
Mhm.
I still want to get into my upbringing. It's a lot because there was like this is like phase two of upbringing, right? I already made my channel. So basically, in 2023, um, I made an oath to God, and I stuck with that oath, and I actually started getting rewarded with that. And I started really going closer to the community more, and I learned about Quran alone. And I think before 2023, how I found out Quran alone was um, how I found out Quran alone was I I was still following the mainstream Islam even when I found about like Aisha's age. Like I know that like sounds contradicts like crazy to some people, but it's like something that Islam really healed me from like suicide. Like it healed me from even like having a suicide. Like it was without the Quran I may not be alive. So it's very important for me. So I don't want to let go of that. Even if the interpretation, even if those Sunni stuff were true, because I just assumed all the stuff they were saying, like stoning and stuff, that was in the Quran. I was still a layman, and I didn't really care. I thought Shia and Sunni was just a political thing. I thought they all believed in the same like laws. So at first I assumed everything was in the Quran. So by nature I was Quran alone. But I was just very attached to it, where even if it was harsh, I didn't care. So it wasn't actually, with the harshness did bother me, but I knew that like without the book, I wouldn't be healed with some things. So it was also very precious to me. So even the stoning, I was still doing 5 prayers, even with this. I don't believe in 5 prayers now. I believe in 3. But even when I was like doing 5 prayers, I knew about stoning and Aisha's age, but I was still praying. So that's not really what kicked me. What kicked me was I would watch Zakir Niyaik, and he would always quote verses in the top of his head. So like that's something I want to do, like quoting verses in the top of my head. In fact, I just did that with this verse on the screen. Um, I saw Zakir Niyaik, he would quote stuff in the top of his head, and I was like, "Yo, that's awesome." So I wanted to really have that like muscle memory. I wanted to have that memory, right? And I started becoming having like a mindset like I want the source of everything, that's every law, right? So once I did that, then I found that stoning was not in the Quran. because I tried to find the source. I found that Aisha's age was not in the Quran. So when I found that, I was like, bro, it was lashing. Why? Like, and then I just started questioning everything from there. Then I started seeing hadiths that were saying like, don't yawn because yawning is from shaitan. I was
Yeah,
like,
I know that
what?
as well.
That's crazy. So for me, it was mainly stoning, and then the yawning is from shaitan, and then also Daisha's age eventually like the down bad thing is because I used to like accept that, and I was like, oh, but the Christians do it too anyway, or like I'll make that same fallacy, like just pointing the finger at like other people that Sunnis do. But when I learned about like the um, physiology of the woman more, I was like, yeah, this is BS. I mean, like puberty doesn't mean like overnight you're gonna turn into a woman when you first hit it. So, and it's like mental maturity too, as we know in chapter 4 verse 6. You know, when
Yeah.
you hear sound judgment. So yeah, I just started learning from there, and I was like, I thought I was the only person. I was like, there has to be someone else. So I was really into Speaker's Corner at the time because I would see Ali Dawa debate Christians. Funnily enough, I was a fan of him. Now I'm against him because you know they people know me for my debate with Ali Dawa, which is at 3,000 now, alhamdulillah. But I like I was like, okay, Speaker's Corner is my favorite thing to look at. So I searched up Speaker's Corner Quran alone, and I found like Cameron and Maverick.
Hmm.
So the first people I saw was Maverick and Cameron. You know, the Somali guy and the Pakistani guy who are in Speaker's Corner. Then from there, I was like, yo, there's other people. And I was like getting into it. And then I saw like one video. It was like a live stream with like Discord. And there was like a video talking about Hajj, and it was like a Discord on it. And they're like, yo, there's a Discord. And then like I joined Discord, and like, it just went from there, you know? And after after a bit in 2022, I like in the end of 22, I was like in all of that, right? But then at 2023 beginning, I was like, okay, I have to quit these bad habits and getting in the way of these things. So I made an oath against that. And then from there, I got closer to the community. And I started practicing stuff in this. And eventually around May, is it May? I think it was June. It was June. I decided to take a 2 months break from everyone. And this was a good spiritual break because I was more focused on the Quran. Because I think I started the break when I was in chapter Taha. I was in chapter 20. So still, after all those years, I was not finished with the Quran because I was dealing with a lot of what's it called, addictions and bad things holding me back. But 2023 was that year. You know, it was a perfect year. So I studied it, and um, I was focusing directly at it, and I was archiving verses every topic, whether it's Judgment Day, whether it's marriage, whether it's war, whether it's inspirational verses. I would put those like phone archive topics, like albums, and every verse that was for that category, I would put into that category. So I created a whole archive while I was reading the Quran, and every time I would like finish a surah, I would like ponder for 5 minutes and scan verses that were highlights and remember those verses in my head. Because for me, you know, that's what I liked about Zakir Naik, even though he's Sunni. But now Shu'aib is that new person for me because Shu'aib is like also he quotes verses in the top of his head, correctional office. So I'm kind of having that attribute too now, and it's growing. So I would think of those verses, and I was like, bam, like okay, highlight of chapter 9. You know, chapter 9 verse 31, they worship their scholars and their masters as lord. And then chapter 9 verse 13, you know, will you not fight them when they attacked you first, like, or like, chapter 9 verse 114, where like Ibrahim, he cuts out ties with his father. So I would remember these like highlight verses. You know, that's some of the stuff I remember from chapter 9. So like every surah I would do that, and I would also archive the verses and I would write a summary. So in that time, I didn't even work, by the way. I just I just and I was like fasting some days, and I just did like crazy like monk like for a bit, just a state of that. And during when the end I came back, I felt so refreshed, and I think there was this one verse that hit me where it said, uh, "Oh, I've taken you as a friend, and you led me astray." So I remember in the time I had friends that were disbelievers, but it wasn't because they were disbelievers, but it was because they were very bad energy.
Hmm.
They were very bad energy. So they would talk about women in a bad way. They would like smoke like weed a lot, and they would like at the time when I were younger, they were more innocent. But as they got older, they just became, and they were very loud, and they would cuss a lot and listen to bad music. And when I was dealing with my Discord people, I would feel like calmness around them.
Hmm.
But when I'd go hang out with those people in real life, I would just feel distressed a little bit. And it wasn't because they were like attacking me, but just the way their energy, like it was, I was very sensitive to it. Like I don't like that bad energy.
Hmm.
So I like cut out those bad energies.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I start getting signs like crazy because I would have like there's a state that I had like nightmares, and I started asking Allah for like good dreams. So I started actually getting dreams of believers, like like in the Quran alone community. I'm not gonna name names,
Yeah.
but surprisingly, it was a different like school of thoughts.
So you're saying that you were dreaming about YouTubers that were in the Quran
Not
alone
just
community?
not just YouTubers. People
Then
on Discord knew their face. Like I would be working with them, hanging out with them, or like preaching with them, or like
SubhanAllah.
they w- or like like there was one I was like reading the Quran with, and then there
Uh-huh.
was also another dream I had where I was like training in a dojo,
Uh-huh.
and we ended up all doing like prostration physical like you know what I mean. And it's like and then after I was reading Quran with one of the people that like one of the YouTubers, and also it was of different backgrounds too. So there was flat earthers I saw in dreams, global, even non-rituals, even pro-rituals. So I
Okay,
was
tell
like,
me
yo, what?
something. You're a pro ritual person, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me how do you I'm gonna ask you two verses. 339, which is on the screen,
Hmm.
and then there's 3343. They both have one word same. And how do you understand that word?
So
The
the
word
angels.
the word is yusalli, and 33, like this is about Zakaria, right? Okay. And the second one is this one, 3343.
33:43.
Huwa allazi yusalli. It's got the same word.
Oh yeah, I know that these
Yeah.
blessings. We like a lot of us believe that like reaching out is a better word, or like
Reaching
connecting.
out, reaching out, connecting, right? Right. Because
Yeah.
the Sunnis, they
Blessings. You know what? Blessings. There's a word for that in Arabic. It's called barakah. So it
Baraka,
doesn't.
exactly. Even like I saw an Urdu translation, they had done rahmat, like Allah gives rahmah on people. So I was like, why didn't Allah use the word rahmah? Because it's an Arabic word. So because the Sunnis they use this to legislate the namaz, the five daily prayers, by
Right.
using these verses. When they say salat means this actually. So like that's why I wanted to know what's your take on these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm different than the Sunnis. Like, so the closest probably YouTuber I would say I'm closest to is Pure Quran Guidance, because we're both pro ritual and but we're also flat earther, and we're also not we don't support the idea of facing a direction of prayer. So there is no direction of prayer because
Mm.
whether you turn your left or west or east, Allah will always be there as like essence. So it's like there's no it's like it's you're hypocritical, you know. It's like like idolatry.
Okay.
You know, it's
Okay. In a
idolatry.
very general term, like if a person performs a ritual, right, of any kind, what's the main scene behind the ritual? Is it like some sort of a physical benefit at the point, at the moment? Or
For
is it
me,
like some sort of spiritual
for me,
enhancement?
for
Yeah, for
yeah,
you
for
or
me,
for anybody.
yeah, for me, it's a spiritual enhancement, but it has to be genuine and it has to be accompanied by action. So,
Hmm.
um, I'm not gonna
As,
say
as in,
why.
like you want to demonstrate physically as well to
So,
God.
like for yeah, for now, exactly. So for now, like I'm in a very busy schedule, so it makes sense why Allah has prescribed it like I believe it's prescribed in the night, you know? So it's like that's for me, it's like a time for recharging from burnout. So the prayer has actually been really helping me with burnout.
Hmm.
But here's a twist.
What?
Um like okay, so prayer it's like it's almost like in a because when you're focusing on life and like your employees and other stuff, you're not you're thinking about Allah, but not to as like 100% like trance. So
Hmm.
that's why it's good to have it like you're recharging your gas for your car. That's how I think of prayer, you know. And it's
You
like
said, that you're thinking of Allah, but you're not in a trance, state, like
it's 100%.
disconnected state from the physical reality. Is that what you mean? Now,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
my
in a very
question to you is that what, like, for example, if there is some Hindu, for instance, and he meets you and you both are talking and you said, I prayed and I felt amazing. Then the guy said, oh, I prayed and I felt amazing. So what is the basis of highlighting that
it's not
whose
just
prayer is more authentic, or whose is authentic? Like, you know what I mean?
it's not just about the thinking about Allah, because I do
Hmm.
believe there's like tasbih where it says while you're lying down think about Allah. So there is like meditating I also do where I do just think directly about Allah, and sometimes I would do it like I would think as if I am a not a human, but
Hmm.
as if I'm like a tree or something.
Hmm.
And there's also so I would think as if like I'm a flower and there's flowers around me, and we're just
Hmm.
all thinking of Allah. And there's also a shower meditation, which
Hmm.
honestly like I like doing it, but it wastes like water bill. But when I do it, sometimes I imagine myself as like I'm in a rainforest and I'm a leaf. So I like there's like cool meditations I do think about, and I just think it directly about. And then there's also like I ponder about my goals for Allah, but the prayer is different. Like the salat standing in specified time is different because you're thinking about the verses at this point. And when you're thinking about the verses, Allah says like in chapter 39 verse 23 that the hearts soften when they hear the recitation.
29
And
verse 33.
39 verse 23.
39, 23. Yeah. Oh wow, subhanallah, it has the Asanal Hadith statement in it as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
The
this one
skin
is
shook.
about the mutashabiha, and yeah, it's about that.
But the same thing as with the salah, it says in 29:45 as well that like it prohibits immorality and wrongdoing. So
Hmm.
if you are praying five prayers and you're still doing wrongdoing, that's a
Hmm.
salah of a munafiq. You're not actually doing the purpose that the salah is giving you, and it's just mindless.
Wait,
And
wait,
that
wait, 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 wait. For example, if salah is a prayer and you pray and then you do something wrong, and that means you did a prayer of the munafiq. So
no,
what
no,
if,
no. I'm
like,
saying like
for example,
yeah,
the act of being a hypocrite is with somebody or with self as well, right? But if you're doing it for somebody, like you're being a hypocrite with someone, how does your prayer, like, affect that relation?
the
Because
prayer,
if you're connecting with a
the prayer.
person,
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
you logically have to be, like, you have to be just, you have to
I'll
not.
tell you. I'll tell you. Yeah, yeah, I'll tell you what I mean. So, like, one
Yeah.
time I prayed a long prayer, and then someone was like trying to get on my nerves, but
Mm,
because I was praying that time, I
Yeah.
felt calmer, and I didn't like, snap at them because they were like trying to anger me, but like I stayed calm and composed. It was helped me from that, like, trance of, like, focusing on the verses, where
Mm.
it did kind of made me stay composed. But I'm saying, like, if you don't have any effect from that, and you're just, you're saying the prayer itself gives good deeds, like it gives like
Yeah, yeah,
discipline,
yeah. You mean to
like
say
discipline.
that you have to feel it, I mean live it, or without,
Yeah,
like, even if you're saying it, you live it or you feel it. Is that what you
because
mean, right?
yeah, because you're reciting the verses,
Yeah.
and because if you're remembering those verses, you should be also striving to live it. Now, let's say you sin.
But
Let,
let's for
let,
example, for
let's
example.
let hey, let's say you sin after it,
Hmm.
but in that moment you could have sinned way worse. But because you are mindful of Allah, you you did it in a less state. So that would be more genuine than someone constantly doing bad and never trying to progress. Because there's some people.
But then how is reminding yourself some instructions equate to praying? Because,
To
like, for
pray.
example, like,
So,
for example, you are given a tool and it's the first time you have it, and you are given the instruction manual of how to operate it, right? Now, doing that instruction
oh,
manual, how is that praying? Like, for example,
so
like, you look
what's it
in the
called?
Quran, like you said, you recited some verse about not being a hypocrite, and you didn't do it. Yeah. How is that praying?
Yeah,
Isn't that just applying the instructions of the Quran? How is that praying is
yeah,
my question. You getting my point?
it is.
Like,
Yeah, it is.
you're thinking that that is praying, right? But how is that a prayer? That is just simply acting upon the instructions of the Quran.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Getting
it's
my
more
point?
than it's more than that. But I'll go to the next tab. Like,
Mhm.
go to look at the tab. Search the meaning of prayer. Search it, because it's more
One,
than just
one second.
supplicating.
One
It's
second. No, no,
also
it's a very like this thing just came in my head because look, somebody else with another faith or not even a faith might do some kind of practice, and they might feel a relief. Is that a prayer?
it's a tasbih, but the salat is more like it's disciplined because it's like in specific times, and it's more associated with the book. So that's what I was saying with meditation. So it is more associated with instructions. That's
Hmm.
why 2940, it's not just instructions, but it does bring peace. So it does have the meditative benefits of recharging, but at the
Hmm.
same time, it is reminding you about the instructions.
Hmm.
So even when I'm reciting, like, uh, Huwa Allahu, Huwa Allahu, Huwa Allahu. Wait. How can I forget it? Oh my gosh, astaghfirullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Huwa Allahu, Huwa al. Who? Shoot.
Which
This is
verse is it?
59:23.
59:23. 1 second.
Okay.
Bismillah.
Huwa Allahu alladhi la ilaha illa huwa al-Maliku al-Quddus
Yeah.
السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز
Jabbar.
الجبار المتكبر. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Subhanallah.
the names of Allah, the attributes, the.
Yeah. So even with this verse alone,
Hmm.
if I hear Al Maliku, I'll think
Hmm.
of all the other verses about Judgment Day. If I hear about the source of serenity, I'll think
Hmm.
about all the other sources about peace, like الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله إلا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. So it will like backtrack to the whole Quran, and when I'm just reciting one verse, I'll like just remember that all of it, and it will just make me feel more calm and composed.
Hmm.
But it's doing a like effect. It's doing some kind of effect, and
Yeah.
only Allah knows if that prayer is genuine or not. So
Okay,
the
so you,
goal,
I get your
the main,
point.
yeah,
I
the
get your
main
point.
goal of Salat is to kind of, whether you believe it's physical or not, that we can agree the main goal of Salat is to, keep us, it prohibits us from wrongdoing and stuff. So when you hear like hoblos saying, even if you kill this, murder someone, even if you rape someone, if you're not doing the salat,
Hmm?
the person who does salat and does all those bad things are better in the eyes of, like, he's mistaken, well, obviously. Because if you're constantly killing and raping and you're not being phased by it, but you're somehow praying, it's obvious that there's no genuinity with that. Like, you're not even wronging yourself, you're like hurting other
Look,
people.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. For example, I did something wrong and my father found out. I'll be damn scared of my father. I won't face him, right? But people have the audacity of literally facing God, and that's what you just said. Hublos was saying that, oh, even if you do wrong, go pray. I would be shit scared that, oh Allah, oh, how am I gonna face Allah? That I did wrong. Now you getting my point. So
Well, right,
if the prayer
that comes.
notion is there, it kind of disables that factor that, oh, I have wronged, but no problem, Allah will forgive me.
Yeah, but you also have to strive to be
Attain
better.
forgiveness.
So
Okay,
still
yeah.
do that discipline of doing that prayer, but the next time you do this prayer, try to right after it and all the times after it, do actually strive more and do good deeds, and eventually, slowly, your prayer will. But that's not what Hoblos is saying. Hoblos says if you go a year doing those bad things and like, you keep doing, like, that's, it's messed up. So they see their religion as just five pillars, and that's kind of what makes them weak. And for me, it's like, that's what I was saying earlier. I had signs of just meeting other believers of different groups, so it wasn't even necessarily just pro ritual people, and we were in good terms. And
Look,
it's not just pro ritual, but globers and flat earthers as well. So it kind of, and I've always had that ambition for the community, like, just to grow and like be allies with each other, and like me having those signs, it's kind of, it shows. And it's something shown, and I ended up later getting closer to Allah, where I literally started having dreams about the verses. So I would recite verses in my dream.
subhanallah,
And
that's good.
yeah, so the only person closest to me, like, who has done that I know of,
Yeah.
is a correctional officer, but he had it in a different way. He said it in the What is Shirk live stream. He would say, like, oh, I had one dream about a subject. So let's say he had a dream about, like, Moses and Pharaoh, and then he sees a staff turn into a snake. Then he would wake up, he would have a number on his mind, and he would check that number, and he would get the verse of that dream.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it was kind of relatable with me, but with me it was more like I would be reciting the verses myself.
Hmm.
So the first time that happened, it was actually a crazy verse, and I don't want to say this just to show off, but I want to say it. I don't, I don't like to, like, look. If I say this to some people, they may think of me some sort of way. I'm not trying to label myself, but I'm saying, like, I'm not. I asked this because I would ask Allah for good dreams, because I would have nightmares. But Allah would bless me with that, because actually, in Allah says in chapter 2, verse 186. If you mind pulling that up,
Yes.
yeah.
This is for 2186. 1 second. This is about Psalm, I think.
No,
Is
it's
it?
about
No.
yeah. And when my servants ask you concerning me, indeed I am near. I respond to the invocation of the supplicant when he calls upon me. So let
Hmm.
them respond to me and
Hmm.
believe in me, and that they may be guided.
But look over here. The word is da'wah. That's dua.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what. Yeah.
So
Is
it's like
that
a
the Quran? You see, so it's about the doing dua. Look, dua and salah are two different things entirely.
yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
This
but
was this was more imploring. So I was implore. This was actually, I wasn't even in salah. I would do
look,
this like before sleeping.
I want to add up to this. I've been like for the past 4 months, I've been studying. Like there's a Quran teacher in Pakistan, in my city in Karachi, and he, Alhamdulillah, he knows Arabic and he's done his own translation and tafsir. And I take a once a week class from him, and that's because he knows a lot of Urdu and Urdu and Arabic connections, and I get to see more advanced, more expanded meanings to words. And I've seen that the way that he translates and the way the other people from Karachi have been translating, their translations are very based upon society and all those
Yeah,
things, like what a government should be, how people should be conducting their behavior, how how the whole society is benefiting each other and all of that, because the Quran is full of this. And but they don't talk anything about the unseen as such. They know it's there. They even call malaika as the forces of nature. They don't consider them as beings of with wings or
yeah.
anything like that.
I
You
know
know
they
what I
want
mean?
to make thing. I noticed that that's the thing about Golam what was his name?
Parvez,
Golam.
Ghulam Parvez, Ghulam Ahmed
Yeah.
Parvez. Yeah.
So he was someone who did believe in the entirety of the Quran. You know, he
Mhm.
wasn't a 19er, which that's
Mhm.
another thing I want to like talk about my channel.
Yeah.
I'm actually tired. I'm sick and tired of the RK followers because they, bro, like people. I've seen Sunnis who have said to
Mm.
me like, "Oh, RK was the first Quran. Like he started it." Like, bro, there's people who way before, and even if
Uh,
you look at some of the Sunni old scholars, they still had like really old, like Abu Hanifa, they had some Quran alone attributes. So it's as if like they are like kind of Sunni washing some of the history.
mm.
You get
Yeah,
my point?
obviously. Look, another thing, the Quran never tells us to take history as a point of reference to understand things. The Quran has its own history about everything. It's the
If
thing how we
that
interpret it. It's all about that.
for me, it's mainly focusing on the lessons.
Yeah.
Um, that's I think the main factor because there's like in their stories there are lessons in 12:111.
Yeah.
But we can't there's a reason Allah doesn't mention the years like of so like events like or something.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And it's like even what's interesting is I was thinking about this the other day. Allah
Yeah.
doesn't talk to people face to face like in this life like with His voice. You know
Mm.
why? Because He knows that some humans will try to deceive others. So in Iraq, they actually did this one thing called the voice of God, where they would make this radio, like this kind of machine. They would try to act like God speaking, and people would the Iraqi soldiers would fall for that, and then they would get attacked in ambush after. So
Really?
yeah, but
Oh,
if they had
oh
knowledge
wow.
of the
Look
Quran,
at this.
but if they had knowledge of the Quran
Yeah.
in chapter I don't know what it is, chapter 42 somewhere, it says Allah does not speak to someone except behind a veil or through inspiration.
Mm.
You see what I mean? But if they had knowledge of that verse, they would know, okay, that's BS. Allah doesn't talk to us that way. You get my
Voice of
point?
God. Voice of God blesses the FM airwaves of Al Asad. Whoa.
So you see what like a lack of knowledge, so knowledge is important.
Yeah, interesting. That's brilliant.
Exactly. So like I believe it's 42. It's a popular verse. If you can just paraphrase the words, Allah does not speak to someone except behind a veil or behind
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
yeah, people.
Only Musa is the one who got this beautiful gift from Allah that he could do that. Otherwise,
I'm
yeah.
kind of questioning that. I
What?
wonder if it will go through inspiration, like or kind of.
Well,
I
everybody, the
do
Quran
believe,
says that everybody's got a right to do their understanding. So, yeah, you have a right
right?
to understand whatever you like.
It's like
Yeah.
it's something I'm still pondering about. But I do think God definitely like. put a part of himself
Yeah.
in the world, and then the mountain exploded in chapter
Mm.
7, 143. So
Mm.
that caused what's it called? Musa to like fall down unconscious just because of the amount of energy. So I do believe like this one.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm saying it's interesting how Allah will not do stuff like that because if Allah did do stuff like that, it would cause confusion. Because how would you know if that is the voice or if this is a machine the government's using? So that's the
Yeah.
wisdom behind why Allah
Yeah.
sits back instead of constantly going like straight, talking to us.
Yeah, but like Allah can do anything, and the thing is that in the creation and in the messengers and the prophets, the Nabi of Allah, He's
Yeah,
given some beautiful, amazing things that we don't get to normally get to experience.
exactly.
Like Hazrat Yunus going inside the whale and surviving that. Hazrat
Yeah,
Ibrahim witnessing things that no man could. Suleiman got a kingdom that no man could. So like all of these are like
back
some
like
next level things entirely.
exactly. And then what's it called? Back to like the dream thing. So there was this one video. It was like had low views. It was 15 views. And they started showing how they mistranslated the word of 1746.
Hmm.
Funnily enough, in that same video, it was like very like dramatic music. Like this is stuff that you get goosebumps. Which when I first saw it, it was like uh Quran wahdahu. Hold up. Doesn't that mean alone in Arabic? Because I know some Arabic, not fully. And what's it called? When I said that, they showed like on Google Translate Quran wahdahu means Quran alone. And that was in 1746.
Yeah, Wahda means one, right? Or
Yeah,
Allah, Wahdahu.
yeah,
Wahdahu la sharika lahu. Haven't you heard that in
yeah.
the
Exactly,
Shahada or whatever?
exactly. So what's it called? I was watching this video, and funnily enough, there was someone who made a video about 1746 long ago on YouTube before I even came into this because I'm young still. I'm I'm just a younger Quran alone. I'm not like
MashaAllah.
them, right?
So
But
you talk about this one. Bismillah ar-Rahman wa ja'alna ala qulubihim akinnatan an yafqahu.
so yep, and
What's this? Wafi azanihim.
يفهم وقرأ
Azanihim wa qara.
وإذا كرت ربك في القرآن وحده ولوا على أدبار نفورا. So I there was actually a video of someone who made this video
Hmm.
before I was on YouTube with my same channel picture as a thumbnail.
Hmm.
But this is the crazy part. After watching that, not that video, but the other video that was low viewed,
Yeah.
I slept that day. Then there's a dream that pops up. I see my Shia family. They're arguing like intensely, like my whole Shia family. I don't care if they're watching this. I know one's following me on TikTok. Let them watch this. They won't believe it. They'll call me crazy. But I saw all of them like arguing with each other.
Hmm.
My father was there and he didn't look happy, which that's another thing. I would keep seeing my father in dreams, and the places where there was bad energy, he was sad, and the places where it's good energy, he was happy. But this was bad energy, so he was sad in the stream. But all the other people, they were all arguing. And it was about worldly things. Like they didn't put Quran into the like what's it called differing. They didn't put that aspect of the Quran. They didn't judge by the Quran, so they were arguing about things and being unjust. So I was quiet. I stood up. I stood up really fast. I said, "Have you all been in the Quran?" Like I was yelling that.
Hmm.
And then you know what I started saying? I started saying some Arabic words, and then I just ended up saying Quran wahduhu, Qurani wahduhu.
Hmm.
and everyone was frozen. Their faces. All my Shia family, they were like some of them looked angry, some of them looked shocked, some of them looked scared, and um,
Because this
basically I
look,
woke up.
this verse even says in the end, and when you mention your Lord alone in the Quran,
They
they
turn
turn
away.
back in aversion,
Right.
nafura.
Yes. So when I got up, I woke up. I didn't know the full Arabic of this verse. All I remembered was the Quran wahdahu part, and me was saying I was saying Arabic words in between those parts, which makes sense because that's how the verse is. So I learned how to recite this verse after this dream. But when I woke up, I had shivers all over my body, and it
Mm.
was the most. This was in November 2023. I had shivers all over my body, and it was the most. I think it's the most beautiful gift I got from God, because during the hardest times, like I told you, from July to November this year has been very hard. But
Mm.
back to 2023 November, um, that was an amazing gift, and I ended up actually having other dreams with verses in them, but they were verses I already recited. So this one was still like always going to be unique because I never learned this verse prior to this dream. The other dreams where I was reciting verses, like I had one where I recited "Idfa billati hiya ahsanu wa saytanahnu aluma bima yasifun," 23 verse 96. Um, I think that dream, there was some like Sunnis I knew. There was one revert guy, like a convert Sunni, who's like he comes from a white background. I knew in that dream, and all of them were crying, and I was just reciting that verse. And it says repent.
This verse is also used in Ruqya.
I know. I love.
Because that's what it is in the translation. Well,
But
Allah knows
but
best. I don't know about this Ruqya thing. This was some
I with
no
the
idea.
Rukia, I think there's some part truth of it because I mean they obviously have personalities. Like imagine this: if you recite that verse, like let's say you recite the verse about like use that woman trying to seduce Yusuf,
Hmm.
and then let's say you recite the names of Allah.
Hmm.
Obviously, the verse, huwa alladhi la ilaha illa huwa al
Hmm.
malik, so on. That verse is gonna be stronger than the verse of you know that woman
No,
seducing.
but like for instance, if some woman is trying to attack you in that way, are you gonna recite a verse on her? Will anything happen to her? No.
No, no, I'm saying no. I know nothing's will happen, but I'm saying when you're getting bad whispers and energy,
Yeah.
I would
Then you
recommend
center
you recite.
yourself to Allah and you remember do the zikr of
Yeah,
Quran.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, verses where it's speaking about the names of Allah is objectively stronger than some verse where it's like a weird situation story. But I'm
Hmm.
saying, um, that was something beautiful to me. I had these dreams, and like I ended up having other dreams a lot where I was meeting believers, and just that is my ambition. That's
Hmm.
like my ambition right there, and Allah knew that, and He gave me morale, kind of.
Your
And I think,
voice has gone low.
yeah, yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
So God knew that, and He gave me that morale. He gave me that confidence. He gave me those signs, and um, it really made me stay on track, basically. And even in those 6 months period this year, after all those traumatizing events, and
Hmm.
I ended up getting into this OCD cycle, I actually told Allah, like, I asked for help on what to do. And He would show me like signs of like faceless people telling me advice on like, oh, to fix your OCD, you have to be active as much as possible, and you have to fix this health issue that's causing headaches. Because when you have headaches, it makes you overthink as well, and it makes you have brain fog. And then I would also have another dream where there was like an ugly spider. There was
Hmm.
an ugly spider because the spider was ugly, but it had like a bald head on top of the spider. This is nasty. Like let's be like
Wow.
a human bald. Like this is some weird like Narnia demon.
Brother, you're getting some strange dreams, you know
I
that?
know, but this was a fake problem because although it was very hideous, it wasn't attacking me. So it's a fake problem. So when I started saying "Udu billahi minash shaitanir rajim" in the dream constantly,
Hmm.
it it ignored me, and then I kept saying it more, and then it looked at me, and then I kept saying it more and more and more, and then eventually it jumped on me.
So
So
that
this
means
was basically,
that means
you
that it was something was happening.
know what this meant to me?
Yeah.
It was like my intrusive thoughts. The more I give power to the intrusive thoughts and try to like fight it,
Hmm.
even though it's harmless,
Hmm.
but I'm just making it look harmful, then it's actually it's gonna consume me eventually. So even if you look at chapter 38 verse 42.
38, 42. Here we go.
Okay, go back, actually go to 41. Actually, hold up, go down.
41.
Well, actually, yeah, just look. Yeah, 41 to 42. Just start with 41. 41. There is it. There. Yeah. So it says, and remember our servant Job when he called out to his Lord. Indeed, Satan has touched me with hardship and torment.
Hmm.
So some of the translations use this as distress, and
Oh yeah, this is a ayah I've used a lot. I used to recite
yeah,
this a lot. Rabbi anni musanni durul. Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
This is the one.
So when you have fake problems, you shouldn't actually say "Udu billahi minash shaitanir rajim." I know it's crazy, but the only time you should be "Udu billahi minash shaitanir rajim" is like when you are actually like maybe about to do a sin and you are trying to resist, or
Hmm.
like if it's something actually harmful, or like let's say like, oh, you're about to like shout at someone because they made you mad, but like you don't want to because it's like, I don't want to call this guy names and like get to that. So maybe you say "Billahi minash shaitanir rajim," it calms you down. But when it's like intrusive psychological thought, that's just intrusive thought of like past traumas,
Hmm.
you have to act like it's non-existent, so it becomes, in the back of your subconscious, and it becomes irrelevant. Like, just focus on another task, be active as much as possible, just like how the other, coach dream I had against
Hmm.
the psychological problems. So similar to Yaqub, Ayub, Job also had psychological problems, but he wasn't old like Yaqub, and he was able to actually, do those actions. So what Allah told him in the next verse, I think you can actually just click an arrow, the right arrow next to,
So
yeah,
that's gonna bring the next word.
yeah. So scroll
One sec.
down. Oh, that's just the next word.
40,
Oh,
42. You said
yeah,
42.
yeah, 42. It says strike is actually a bad translation. This says irkud. Irkud is used for the word for running. So what
Hmm.
it says is run with your foot, and this is a cool bath and drink.
Hmm.
So I actually one time used cold showers
Hmm.
to cope, and it did actually help me. And I exercised right after, and I like slept calmly. My distress was eased, and I would run also. I would run laps, and that
Hmm.
was a very good coping mechanism because it's saying irkud with your rijlek, so run with your feet. So basically it's connecting with what health people say, and what my dream said, where the other first dream where it said be active as much as possible.
Hmm.
So Ayub, since it was a psychological problem, he didn't even focus on "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim" or prayer, because even though the Quran says seek help with patience and prayer,
Hmm.
you look at when it seek help with patience and prayer, it's usually like when Zachariah's wife is barren, or like the prophets are like in the companions are dealing with a lot, so they're spending 2/3 of the night in prayer because they have a lot of tasks to do, business, war, preaching, stuff like real problems, and prayer does actually help with real problems like that, like with my work life, or like just staying composed when I'm dealing with like stressful people. But when
Hmm.
you're having psychological problems, this is where this comes in. This is where the Ayub protocol comes in, and that's what I would do. I would do exercise. I would do getting a job, working on that, and
Hmm.
just like because you don't just want heavenly distractions, but you want earthly distractions. You want earthly distractions to replace that old trauma of the other earthly distractions.
Hmm.
So when you're not thinking about the heavenly stuff like scripture and stuff, then your earthly stuff just becomes your money or your time management or stuff like this. So now when you're praying, the first
Yeah.
intrusive thought of the worldly life is not your trauma or what is distressing imagery. It's actually just my like employees said this and like like this time my schedule, like you think of that. So now it just that stress doesn't become psychological, it becomes physical, and then you can actually focus in prayer. But the first step is to be active, and that's what I learned from the story of Ayub.
Hmm.
And it's something it will stick with me forever, and I relate with it a lot. So
Yeah, that was interesting. Uh, a prayer view of how to get along with things.
right,
So
and do with my
yeah,
channel, I dealt with that experience, and I want to really make something about like self improvement, like not just I want how can we improve? Okay, we found the truth, but what are we gonna do with the truth? You see what I mean? It's like
yeah. No, but the thing is, look, everybody's life is different. Like the way you're finding prayer to be very helpful, I'm sure there are other people who do not think that way, and they think more into practical application of things. Because if prayer was the solution for everything, then people would just be praying and not doing nothing. But that's not
right,
the thing.
like
Look,
and also when you're doing the prayer, never do it because of the distress. Actually, just do it for the praising of Allah. So that's
yeah,
another.
that's understandable. But
So when
listen. Allah
mm,
doesn't need. Does Allah require our prayer, like praise and prayers? He is Al Ghani. He is independent of any thing that
right,
we
I
do.
wouldn't say Allah needs. I think I would say
We need
we
it. That's
yeah
what you're gonna say.
exactly
Okay, listen to me. You know, the people that are like the authority of religion and stuff, right? They
mm,
give promises to people which are like they can't be verified without dying. So whatever they're going to promise them is going to be after death. So
right.
and they're like always like, okay, even if this guy dies and he doesn't get what I promised him, he's not going to coming back to grab me.
Mm.
So most of that stuff is all like, you know, in the invisible. Nothing substantial is happening.
I mean, you know what they say? They say,
Yeah.
touch the stone, and then you can make a supplication, and you get a guaranteed,
This reminds me of video games, like when in Skyrim I go touch the tomb and I get a level up or I get an attribute for 15 minutes. That's exactly the same thing. That
exactly.
if
That's
like somebody go like people are like, oh, he came back from Umrah fresh or Hajj fresh, right? So
yeah.
he is a bit like, you know, pious, and then after 2 weeks he's back into his own fraud game. So
Right.
is it like that? Is that how it is? Because look, when prayers are supposed to be repeated daily, right, like a loop, that means that the effect goes off, or some kind of effect is acquired which goes off. That you have to keep on repeating it in order to have a continuous chain of that effect.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It shouldn't just be about help. It should actually also just be for like how Allah says it, for the remembrance of Allah.
Yeah, yeah. The remembrance is the Quran, indeed. And if you
E- e-
are
Even if
reading
you
the Quran,
yeah, even if you exercise
yeah,
with the what's it called intent of what's
yes, the intention should be good.
yeah, it shouldn't just be like, oh, I want to block these thoughts. Like, don't even think. Just do it because it's like good for your well-being,
Mhm.
and also it will bring you into the present. So when you're having cold shower or cold bath, you're literally
Yeah,
just focusing on your breath. So
that's true. That's true.
that's how it will help. But I think these
Brother, listen. I know we're having good fun talking about topics, but it's quite late, and I have to go to bed. Inshallah, in the next one, we'll talk about more things. We'll also talk about trauma, because trauma
You
is something that a lot of the Quran alone people has faced already before
you
coming
want
to the Quran alone.
you want to actually combine the two recordings?
The two recordings. I mean, you mean of today and the next time?
Yeah, yeah.
Nah, that's gonna be very long, man. It's already 1 hour 20 minutes right now.
Okay, but you did with Igor like for 5 hours.
Oh, that's too long. Anyways,
Four.
I'm gonna end the recording now. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about it after the ending. Now you have to
Okay.
edit the last part. Not professional.
End recording. End recording.